This is lesson 6 of our STAAR review, introducing functions. Okay, some vocabulary we're going to go over is a relation. A relation is a set of ordered pairs. The x-coordinates in the relation are the inputs. So over inputs, I'm going to put a big X here. And the y-coordinates are the outputs. Okay, sometimes it's hard to remember which one is your input and which one is your output. But remember, X comes before Y in the alphabet, so your X is always first. Well, same thing with your I comes before O. Okay, so your input comes before your output. You put in, and then you get your Y. All right, so inputs are going to be all of your X's. And to help with functions, we're going to get used to highlighting our X's. Outputs would be 2, 9, 8, 10. So when we have graphs, those are pretty easy because all I want you to do is look at your X's. All we need to do to see if it is a function is to look at our X's. X's cannot repeat. So let's look at example 1. We have a -5, 4, 0, -2, 4. Would that be a function? No. We have two X's that are the same. You cannot have the two identical numbers for your X, which is your input. You can for your output, but not your input. We're only focusing on your X's. Okay? There's some other notes here you can read over if you'd like. But let's skip to the assignment. Number 1. Which relation is a function? So remember, a relation is set as a set of coordinates. Okay, so all these are relations. But to make a function, your X's cannot repeat. So let's highlight all your X's. And that alone will help us answer this question. And we're looking for a function. A function would be where the X's did not repeat. So we have a -3, a 9, a 0, and a 4. All of those are different numbers. So that one would be a function. B, we have 4, 4, 4, 4. All of our X's repeat, so that is definitely not a function. C, we have 8, -2, 5, -2. Well, -2 is repeated. That is not a function. D, -6, 5, -2, -6. So again, -6 repeats twice, so that cannot be a function. So the only one that did not repeat was A. Number 2. Which number could fill the 2 empty cells in the table to define a function? We want a function, so let's highlight our Y's. And remember I told you, we're highlighting our X's. We're highlighting our X's. But I told you the Y's really didn't matter if they repeated. We want to focus on the X. So let's look. Can 5 fit in? We have -2, -1, 0, and a 5. If we already have a 5, we cannot put another 5 in there. a 3. -2, -1, 0, and 5. So 3 could go there. And even though we have a 3 here, it does not matter because that's our y. So that one could be it. A 0, -2, -1, 0. So we cannot have 2 zeros. And a -2. Well, we already have a -2, so we cannot have another -2. So your answer is B. 3 would make that a function. Number 3, which relation is not a function? So if I'm looking for something that's not a function, we're going to look for what repeats in our x spot. 5, -3, 1, and 3. Okay, this one is a function because -3 and 3 are opposite of each other. It's not the same number, so that is a function. 1, 4, -1, -8. Again, this is a function because 1 and -1 are opposites, not the same number, so it is a function. C, we have 3, 0, -2, and a 3. We have 2 3 here, so this one cannot be a function. We have a -6, -4, -2, 0. All those are different, so C is definitely your answer. Not a function. Number 4, which graph does not represent a function? So for graphing the lines that are already graphed, you are going to use the vertical line test. Okay, and that just simply means we're going to do a vertical line test, but I want to highlight all of my lines to see which one is not a function. Okay, if you can draw a line and it doesn't hit the other line more than once at one time, this one is a function. Okay, you can take a ruler or your pencil and go down the line, and you'll see that that straight line does not hit another line at the same time. They're all crossing the lines at one point, not multiple points. So that one is a function. C, again, you can just draw lines to see if any of them hits the same time. It doesn't. You can also use your pencil to go through and make sure it doesn't hit. This one is a function. So let's look at D. If I drew a line on 2, x equals 2, that one, when I did the vertical line test, they're all going to hit at the same time. So this one is not a function, and that's what we're looking for. Not a function. Number 5. Patrick is plotting points to show a relation that is not a function. Which point could be the next point that Patrick plots? So again, we want something that makes it not a function. So if I did 4, 4, we went over here, we went 4 and up 4. There's already a plot there, but if I did the vertical line test, there's nothing else on this line. So that makes it a function. If I went to 2 and 2, if I drew my line, nothing hits it. It is a function. And if I did 0, 0, if I drew my line, I have another one that it hit. It hit right here at 0, 3. So this one is not a function. If I went -1, -1, and I sketched my line, Nothing else hit it. That was a function. Okay, number 6. Gail made these tables to represent two different relations. Okay, before we even look at the answers, let's analyze our tables. X is what I'm concerned about. I want you to highlight your X. Okay? Let's decide if they're functions. Don't even look at the answers yet. Let's analyze our tables. Table A, we have a -10, a 5, a 0, a 10, a -20. Because we have two 10s, but they are opposites, this is a function. We have a -10 and a +10. That is a function. Nothing repeated to be the same number. Table B, we have a 4, a 2, a 4, an 8, a -2. So our 4s are the same number. This one is not a function. Okay, now let's look at the answer choices. Which statement is true? Table A represents a function, yes, but table B does not. Function, not a function. That one's true. Table B represents a function. Well, we already said table B cannot be a function, so that one is not true. C, both tables A and B represent functions. No, because table B is not a function. D, neither table A nor table B represents a function. Table A is a function, so A is your answer. Remember, you should be writing everything that I write. Highlight things that I highlight. Number 7, which graph does not represent a function? Okay, we're looking for something that is not a function. So again, highlight your line. Highlight your line. And we're looking for something that is not a function. If I did my vertical line test, every time that line would cross it exactly 1 point. So this one is a function. And if I drew a line on these, it would hit exactly in one spot. Now these are harder to kind of judge, but I'm telling you that when you got right down to it, it's going to be decimals and tenths difference. But it is a function. C, the vertical line test. And again, you can sketch your lines through here, or you can take your pencil or something flat and just go across it. And make sure that that line doesn't hit at the same time in two spots. This one's a function. So D, if I drew my lines, it's going to hit multiple spots. It's going to hit here and here and here and here on that same line. So this one is not a function, which is what we're wanting. Okay, number 8. Drew earns $9.50 an hour at his job. Remember before I've mentioned that when you have per hour, each day, each month, that's going to be your 9.5x. When it's per day, per week, per hour, all that per is going to be your x. The equation y equals 9.5x represents the situation. Which set of ordered pairs is true for the equation? Is it a function? Okay, guys, all you need to do is prove this right or wrong. We know that this is our x, this is our y. This is our x, this is our y. This is our x, this is our y. X, y. If I plug these numbers in for x, if I plugged 0 in for x, did I get my y? And I did. If I plugged in 1 for x, multiplied it, I got my y. 2, if I plugged in a 2 for my x, but look at here, there are 2 2's. So that tells you it's not a function, and it will not work with this equation. Cannot be true. Number B, if I put a 0 in for my x, would I get 9.5? 9.5 times 0 would be 0. So I do not get 9.5. That one does not work. C, if I put 0 in for x, do I get 0 for y? Yes. If I put 1 in for x, do I get 9.5 for y? Yes. 2 in for x, and I would be getting 19 for my y. 3 in for x, I would get 28.5. So the numbers work. Okay, my x's were 3, 2, 1, 0. But look what it says. Not a function. The numbers worked, and it is a function. So this right here makes it not true. So we have the same numbers here, 0, 1, 2, 3. We've tested the numbers because they're the same as C, and they do work, and it is a function. So D is your answer. Number 9. The table represents a function. Okay, so we know it is a function. Which of the following numbers could be in the table? So I'm looking for something that could be right here, and it is my x's. Remember, I want you to get used to highlighting your x's to see if something's a function. When it is a function, the x's cannot repeat. Cannot repeat. So could I put a negative 8 in there? I could, because this is a positive 8. This is a negative 8, so that one could work. Negative 2. I already have a negative 2 here, so I cannot repeat it. 0. I already have a 0 here. I cannot repeat it. A 1. I already have a 1 here. I cannot repeat it. So the only one that makes it a function is A. Number 10. Which of the following equations does not define a function? Not a function. Okay. You have y equals 3x minus 5. And all we're concerned about is your x and your y's. And if you were to plug in numbers and to graph these, you're going to find that that is a function. Y equals 2. Again, if you graph it, you're going to find that it is a function because it's going to be a horizontal line. If you're going to put in some numbers here for ordered pairs, you're going to find out that this too is a function. But when you see x equals 4 would be about 1, 2, 3, about right there. And if I drew that straight line, because it's a vertical line, it does not pass the vertical line test. When my pencil goes to the line, it hits all the points at one time. So not a function is D. Functions are really easy. You just have to remember the vertical line test and that x cannot repeat. Number 11. The graph shows the lengths and weights of fish in the lake that were caught and released. Isabella caught a fish that weighed 9 pounds. I want you to look at your chart. Look at your graph. Your y's are your weights, and your length is your x. And we know it weighed 9 pounds. So you would find where 9 is, and it's going to be right up here above 10. Oh, under 10, my bad. Under 10. Okay. So when this fish is added to the graph represents a function, which could be the length of her fish. So it is a function, and I want to add the length to it. So if I put it on this, let's see, where does 13 give me? 12, 13. There's already a dot on 13, and our x's cannot repeat, so we can't have another 13. 11 would be right there, and there's not another 11, so that one can work. 8, if I go to 8, I already have another 8 there, so we can't repeat it. 5, I already have a 5, so that would not make it a function. The only one that would make this a function is B. Number 12. Which table does not represent a function? Take your highlighter, highlight all of your X's. X's. And remember, functions, your X cannot repeat itself. Your X cannot repeat itself. But our question is, which one does not represent a function? We have a -1, a 0, a 1, a 4, a 9. Nothing repeated, so it is a function. -2, 1, -4, 3, 4. Nothing repeated, it is a function. -4, 2, 3, -1, 2. My 2's repeated. This is not a function. 8, 3, -4, -2, 0. Nothing repeated. It is a function. So your answer is C. If you have any questions, leave them on Google Classroom.